Having the shadow just active and moving about didn't take much MC. It only took about 1 point of MC per minute, which meant he could play about and activate the shadow for around an hour and a half if he didn't use any other skills. This didn't change no matter what he did with the shadow. However, there did seem to be one downside. While he was using his shadow control skill, he was unable to cast Shadow Cloak or even use his shadow dimension. The shadow underneath him was no longer there and was being controlled. If he activated the shadow dimension, the shadow would immediately fall to his feet again. Now the two of them stood opposite each other, ready to have a friendly fight. Vorden this time had a couple of metal balls hovering around him instead of spikes. Be careful, Quinn. Although these might not be like the spikes, they can still do a lot of damage. It's all right, Vorden. My body can handle it. Not using his full strength, Vorden repelled the ball at a decent speed, heading towards Quinn. At that moment, he lifted the shadow from his feet to form a type of wall. As the two made an impact, the ball seemed to slow down. It started sinking through the shadow slowly, then part of it could be seen from the other side. Quinn stared at the ball carefully, and then when the ball had nearly passed through the shadow wall, it started to accelerate. Uh-oh! The ball left the shadow wall and slammed right into Quinn's stomach, falling to the ground. Ah! Quinn shouted as he tried to breathe in some air. Well, I wasn't expecting that, Vorden said. Try again, Quinn groaned. Vorden then fired the second ball of metal, and once again, Quinn lifted up his shadow shield, and the same result had appeared. Only this time, Quinn moved to the side, allowing the shadow to stay where it was before moving the shadow. The ball then carried on moving forward and banged into the stadium wall. Let's see how physical attacks work, Vorden said as he moved forward and swung a long metal pipe he had in his hand. Using the shadow, Quinn blocked again, and the same thing happened. However, Vorden was easily able to pull the object away from the shadow and attack in a new place. He also noticed that the shadow was only covering Quinn's front and was not big enough to go around his back. If he was to use his attractive skill on one of the metal balls, he would easily be able to hurt Quinn right now. Vorden continued to attack with the metal pipe, and Quinn continued to block, moving the shadow in the areas where Vorden was attacking. That's when he realized something. Every time Quinn would hit his shadow, his MC points would go down by a chunk or so. The same thing had happened when he threw out the balls. The stronger the attack, it seemed the more MC points would be used from the shadow. Then when Vorden was about to attack one more time, "Wait! Stop, Vorden!" Quinn shouted. His shadow had vanished, and he had run out of MC points. The shadow acted as a type of shield. It wasn't solid enough to block attacks, but would be able to slow them down. Later, when Quinn's MC points were restored a little bit, he did a few other tests. If Vorden was close enough, he could use the shadow to grab onto him like an extra pair of hands, or even grab onto his legs, slowing him down. But there wasn't enough of the shadow to use it in both of these ways. He could simply either use the shadow to attack or to defend. Well, I can see why your ability is a level 6 now, Vorden said. I think it's more to do with how freely you can use the shadow, and my example would be the skills. Normally a skill would just be a different type of attack, but your ability, your shadows, can actually be used to do entirely new things. A separate storage space, masking you in the night, and even as a defensive shield. It's almost as if you have 3 abilities combined into one. Quinn was happy with the results of the shadow ability, and hearing Vorden talk about made him feel even more confident. He couldn't wait to unlock the other skills in the shadow tab of his system. With the spar over, the two of them decided that once Quinn was fully rested and his MT points were back, they would exit out of the training center and go exploring again. After all, if they did nothing, they would soon start to starve, and Vorden didn't want another instance where Quinn got too hungry. It took around 30 seconds for Quinn to gain back a single MC point, so it would take around an hour for all of his points to be restored. Then they would make their move back to the outside. Outside in the abandoned shelter, somewhere in the city between 2 broken-down buildings in the middle of the street, a specific area started to appear distorted. The space itself looked as if it was bending. Then little sparks of electricity were seen coming from it. Zap! Suddenly 4 people appeared holding hands together on the street. As soon as they saw where they were, they immediately let go. "Is everyone here?" Faye asked as she did a head count. The homeroom teacher Dell was here, although he was still wearing clothing like he was ready to teach. Then there was the doctor, Hayley. She was dressed more appropriately, with high-end beast gear all over. She didn't look like her usual self in her white robe, and looked almost intimidating. It was what one would expect, as her father was one of the generals of the school. Then there was Leo. He was wearing light armor that fitted tightly to the skin, similar to Faye. Both of their abilities focused on speed, so it was important not to wear something too heavy. "All right, our goal is to find the children," Faye said. The rescue team had arrived. When entering the portal, as long as there was one on the other end, it would throw you somewhere within a 1-mile radius of another, as long as there was already a portal set up on the other end. The reason why the group were holding hands is to ensure that they would all be teleported to the same place. Unlike when Quinn and Vorden entered the teleporter one by one, they were chucked to different locations. On Dell's back was a fairly large rucksack that looked quite heavy. As he walked with the group, his footsteps stomped the ground and his back was arched. "Why do I have to carry this thing?" Dell complained. "Right now you're the weakest of us four, right?" Faye replied. "So if you want us to protect you, it's best that you carry the portable teleporter." Dell then looked at Hayley, who was by his side, and even he had to admit she looked quite frightening for a doctor. She was in a full set of large beast gear, a frightening-looking chest piece that looked to have a face on it and spikes sticking out of the shoulder pads. On her back, she was carrying a large single greatsword that was nearly the same size as herself. She almost looked like a professional traveler that went hunting in these types of places all the time. Rich people, that's what happens when your father is a general in the army, Dell thought. Fine, I understand that, but why even the need to bring the portable teleporter in the first place? Isn't the teleporter fine on this end? Dell asked. It's back up, Leo said. Look around you and look at this shelter. It was basically the size of a city. Don't you think they had people protecting it as strong as us? We might encounter a strong beast and have to make an emergency exit, or there might even be a beast blocking the current portal. It's always better to be safe than sorry. Okay, with that being said and done, let's head for the training center. It was the place the portal was last known to be, and we can see if it's safe or not. Leo will lead the way for us. I don't want to stay on this planet for long, and I don't want to find out what destroyed this shelter. Leo walked up front, and using his ability, the group were able to avoid trouble. In a way, although blind, his sight was better than the others. His ability allowed him to see an aura around things and see them in different colors. A beast's aura was always red, while humans' yellow. It also allowed him to see the aura through most objects, such as building walls and so on, allowing them to avoid any confrontation with beasts. However, if the group saw only a few Rataclaw that they could deal with, instead of taking a long route around, Leo and Faye would often head out and deal with them quickly. The two of them were both swordsmen. While Faye would use her longsword, Leo would use his katana blade, not even giving the rats a chance to live.
Subscribe to the Pocket FM Blockbuster YouTube channel and press the bell icon for instant notifications. Check out our channel for more exciting shows.